well. This wasn't supposed to be my grand return to YouTube, but I wanted to strike while the metaphorical iron was hot. So let's begin. Sonic the Hedgehog is a character I've loved since elementary school. His too cool for school attitude, speed, and iconic character design hooked me the moment I laid eyes on him. Despite all the subpar games and cringe fan base, I will probably never be embarrassed to be a Sonic fan. But there's one character in the series who I am an even bigger fan of than the Blue Blur himself, Shadow the Hedgehog. Shadow is everything Archie Comics wanted Sonic to be, a character who has depth, development, and trauma. He was an instant hit in Sonic Adventure 2 and has rivaled Sonic himself in popularity through the years. Before we get to the meat of this video, let's talk about why Shadow is so loved, beginning with his debut game. In Sonic Adventure 2, Shadow is a vengeful avatar of a generation's past. Created to be the ultimate life form, Shadow's purpose was intentionally for peace and to help humanity. The government agents of the Guardian Units of Nations, or GUN for short, prevented this by taking the one thing Shadow cared about most, his best friend Maria Robotnik. In an assault on the space colony Ark, GUN agents killed Maria, arrested Dr. Gerald Robotnik, and covered it all up. Maria sacrificed herself to ensure Shadow was safe, ejecting him from the Ark. In the game's present-day storyline, Shadow is manipulating Dr. Eggman to gather the 7 Chaos Emeralds so he can activate the Ark's secret protocol to ram itself into the Earth, wiping out all of mankind. Yes, we are still talking about a Sonic game's plot. All is going according to plan, until Amy Rose speaks to Shadow and triggers a memory of Maria's final wish. He remembers that her final wish was for Shadow to protect humanity. Shadow then rushes to help Sonic save the Earth, but in the end, sacrifices himself to ensure everyone else lives. So from this, we can gather that Shadow is not one to be above working with someone and will do whatever it takes to protect the innocent, right? So why is Sonic Prime Shadow so fucking stupid? This version of Shadow the Hedgehog is a parody of the character, and to my utter confusion, the internet and greater discussion of this depiction sees this as character derailment, meaning that a character who has lost their essence has now returned to their former glory. I'm sorry, how? In less than a minute into the first episode of Sonic Prime, Sonic describes his relationship with Shadow as complicated. What the hell? No, it isn't. By the time Sonic Prime released, Sonic had worked with Shadow to save the world no less than 5 times, 2 of which are instances where the two were de facto allies and had no bad blood between them. No pun intended, but a prime example of how strong the relationship that Shadow and Sonic had built is in the much maligned game Sonic 06. For context, Sonic had just saved Elise, the Princess of Soliana, from Dr. Eggman, when the two run into a new enemy named Silver the Hedgehog. Silver attacks Sonic while Eggman recaptures Elise, which is hilarious. And without any context, Shadow jumps into the fight and defends Sonic from Silver. Shadow only saw that his friend was being attacked by a stranger, and he fights this new opponent whose powers and objectives are unknown. What does Sonic Prime's Shadow do? He gets a vague, inconclusive vision that the world is going to end, assumes it has something to do with Sonic, then sucker punches him in the fucking face without so much as a spoken word. Hey, remember that scene in Sonic 06 where Sonic, Shadow, and a few of their friends work together to find a way to get back to the present while they're stuck in the hell future? Shadow is capable of using words and planning things out. He's not some brute with a pea-brain, no matter how much his self-titled game wanted him to be. My next gripe is that Sonic calls him angry in the show. Maybe his Sonic Boom variant or the version of him back in his self-titled game, but now? Shadow is one of the most level-headed and calculating characters in the series. Back to Sonic 06, Shadow gets told by Mephiles, who is basically one half of Satan, that humanity will turn on him and use Omega, one of his closest friends, to do so. Shadow is visibly disturbed by this information, but doesn't let it weaken his resolve or bend him out of shape emotionally. he declares that he will fight to defend the world as he always has. You'd think an angry individual would be fucking furious at the idea of being inevitably betrayed and knowing that his best friend will be the one to land the killing blow. Possibly so furious he tried to preemptively stop this by destroying Omega and going regime Superman from Injustice on the humans. But Shadow has a calm, yet clearly disturbed reaction, with a clear determination to keep his promise to Maria no matter the cost. We also need to discuss how Shadow gets antagonistic with Sonic over what is essentially a feeling. There haven't been many games since Heroes where Sonic and Shadow fight, but there is one project that puts Sonic and Shadow in a very similar situation. Sonic and Tails R, a radio drama by YouTuber Emu Emi. In episode 6, Sonic is chased by gun soldiers from a previous episode. It would be easy for Shadow to side with Gun, especially because it is revealed later that he is a gun general and is the superior of these officers, but because of the relationship that Sonic and Shadow have, Shadow trusts that Sonic is in the right even though his men say Sonic isn't. How is a fan project better written than official content from Sega? Instead, in Sonic Prime, Shadow chooses violence first and goes on to cryptically warn Sonic of something and tells him to stop. It feels forced because there is nothing stopping Shadow from explaining the vision he saw earlier. We are beyond the idea of simple miscommunication being the reason why these two fight. Sonic then returns the favor by being secretive about the fight he's going to get into with Eggman. This causes Shadow to keep trying to fight Sonic. What's even stupider is that Sonic exploits Shadow's disdain for Eggman by making him look behind him and yelling that it's Eggman, distracting him so he can run away. Sonic could have easily just brought up Eggman being up to something, and the two could have faced him together. All of this was manufactured so we can get the inciting incident of Sonic breaking the Paradox Prism. What seems to be a blaring dog whistle here is that the writers are stuck in the adventure/heroes era of Sonic. I say dog whistle because not everyone hears it, but I do, and it is loud as fuck. This is the same kind of shit where fans keep making Sonic call Shadow Faker because he did it a few times in Sonic Adventure 2, but stopped by the time they fought on the Space Colony arc, yet the fans keep the nickname alive for some reason. They even made Sonic call Shadow his rival. No, he fucking isn't. At this point, Sonic's only rival is Metal Sonic, but Metal Sonic isn't nearly as popular as Shadow, so Sega won't use him that often. The writers have also leaned into the idea that Shadow is the Vegeta to Sonic's Goku, which is incredibly lazy writing that ignores what the two characters have gone through. Disclaimer, I am not a Dragon Ball aficionado. But if I recall correctly, isn't Vegeta the Saiyan prince who looks down upon humans and needed to learn to appreciate what they have? And Goku was the one who had to corral him because he grew up with the humans most of his life? That is a very different backstory from what Shadow has been through, and it would create a very different character from the one we got. But because the dynamic is popular and works elsewhere, it must work here, right? And I can't put all of this on Man of Action, the production company behind Sonic Prime. A lot of the blame has to be put on Sega as well. In case you were unaware, which you probably are, Sega has mandates on how Sonic characters are allowed to be depicted, with Shadow being one of the most restrictive. From what I've found, the mandate is that Shadow's characterization is written to be an antagonist rival to Sonic with little to no emotional character growth. Little to no emotional character growth. Motherfucker. Shadow is one of the main characters who's all about emotional character growth. We're talking about a character who sacrificed himself to save the world, accepted the possibility of never knowing who he truly is, finding out that who he truly is basically the spawn of alien Satan, killing his own father to save the world, accepting that he will go down swinging when humanity betrays him, and learn that going at it alone is never the solution. And Sega mandated that all of that growth be taken away. Sonic Prime Shadow is no better than Sonic Boom's Shadow for this reason. And I want to address the very stupid, very incorrect counter that one is most likely chomping at the bit to throw at me, and I will know you didn't watch this video if you use it. Well, it's a different universe, so it's okay. Well, this interview says otherwise. In an interview with comicbook.com, producer Logan McPherson stated this:
"It's first and foremost, it is canon, and it does draw upon the existing mythology from the games, and we work very closely with Sega creatively to establish that. So we really use the mythology as a springboard to create that familiarity for fans that have grown up with the games or are still fans today, and then create some unexpected twists and turns that take us to new and undiscovered places that a really broad audience can enjoy."
So yeah, the same Shadow that worked with Sonic to save the world 3 or 4 times. The same one that punches Sonic in the face because he had a waking dream. I'm starting to think that maybe Shadow shouldn't have been brought back. Thank you for watching this video. It was a quick little project to put out while I work on a larger, girthier, more transformative project that will be coming out later this year. If you'd like to support me and check out a novel from an indie author, hit the link in the description and take a look at my sci-fi military series Blur Havoc. It would be much appreciated. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.